Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. This is Orphanlast, aka Skylar Madison, and today I'm coming at you with another Noblefrugal Studio collaboration video where I'm painting out this background in Noblefrugal Studio, which is a channel on YouTube run by a guy called Sebastian. Sebastian, Noblefrugal Studio, will grab a hold of this background when it's finished and everything, and he'll go ahead and animate a complex scene using open tunes. So if you guys would like to see that or just to check out his channel in general, feel free to check it out. It's in a link inside of the video description below. It may be some time until he goes ahead and starts animating on this background, but even still, I like his teaching style. It's worth a look. So anyways, so let's go ahead and get into the meat and potatoes of this video. So I've released the OpenTunes News VPaint Demo Edition video. Everyone's been able to see what I have in mind in order to fix the vector fills issue with OpenTunes. And by and large, the reception seems to be pretty positive. I did get one criticism, though, and I appreciate the criticism. Like, genuinely, I appreciate the critique. It was positive, it was optimistic and everything, so I do appreciate it. Basically, his particular critique was, well, what OpenTunes really needs is a better interface, and I'll get into that in a little bit, but first, let me go ahead and actually address the one thing that OpenTunes truly needs. Now, before I get into talking about it, don't get me wrong at all. Great animations have been made with OpenTunes without this, okay? So, like, Balto is every bit as well animated as any Disney cartoon, okay? And it was made using tunes. Anastasia, it was animated pretty well. Princess Mononoke, great animation. It really is. So, like, just all of these things have been produced using the Tunes software, okay? And OpenTunes is pretty much the exact same thing. So, even without what I'm about to say, you can still produce Disney-level quality animations, okay? So, this is just to talk about how modern software works in comparison to how software 15 years ago worked. Okay, so OpenTunes kind of works like a program that's 15 years old, okay, where it's a graphics program that's primarily reliant upon the CPU. The CPU is your processor. It's the thing that's calculating all the ones and zeros and moving it on to all of the other cards on your computer. And so that it has been how software has always worked ever since forever, okay? And within recent history, especially graphics programs, have relied upon both the CPU,
the processor,
and the GPU,
which is a processor that exists on your graphics card. Okay?
So that's awesome. But the thing is that OpenTunes only relies on the CPU. It doesn't actually work with both the GPU and the CPU. So while most software relies on both, OpenTunes only relies on one of them. So what's the big downside to that? Well, let's say you want to animate a bunch of things with a lot of effects. Like, you want to have a bunch of blur effects, you want to have a lot of lighting effects, you want to have just all these different things, distortion effects, and let's say you want, like, outside of a window or something, you want there to be particle effects, and you don't need that everywhere, so you'll mat it out, except for right at the window. Let's say somebody's smoking a cigar. You need to have, a smoke effect and all that. After a while, that gets really difficult for the computer to process all of that information. And if it's only relying on the CPU, it could take quite a bit of time for you to be able to work that animation. So basically what optimization would allow you to be able to do is have the processor and the processor on the graphics card processing these ones and zeros in unison, and it would make it so that all of these effects could be rendered nearly in real time. So there really wouldn't be as much of a waiting period when you click on the preview button. And so that is what OpenTunes really needs right there. Also, I believe optimization would also get rid of a lot of the lag that exists with the vector brush. So many control points everywhere. If you had a GPU and a CPU working in unison to process the information on the screen and process all and calculating all the math that's needed for all of the geometric shapes of the vector artwork, it wouldn't matter how many control points you have necessarily. It'd be able to process things a heck of a lot easier. So first and foremost, that is what OpenTunes absolutely needs, I feel, in order for it to be taken like 100% seriously by bigger studios. Now, it is there are animators that are migrating from Tunes to OpenTunes just simply because there's more features inside of OpenTunes, and that's great. We are in a situation where we are seeing professional level animation coming out. I mean, just in my last OpenTunes news video, I showcased 2 animations. One of them was just an animation test, but it looked just as good as any other professional animation I've ever seen. And then there's the commercial, which legitimately was a professional production right there. So that's all stuff to keep in mind. Even regardless of optimization, we still have something pretty amazing here. Okay? So, but to address the critique that this person had, that, the interface needs to be improved inside of OpenTunes. Okay, so my second bounty, okay? Now, my first bounty, the Critic Assistant tool, has been fully funded. Development will be beginning as soon as today or tomorrow or whatever. The thing is, it's under development now, okay? Now all we have to do is wait for it to arrive, and it's ours. It's been bought and paid for. Time for them to make it. So, thank you for everybody who donated, by the way. So, the next bounty that I'm going to create is called Collapsible Windows. Now, I can't recall if I've talked about this before, but Collapsible Windows will make it so that you're not distracted by your tools. Oftentimes I open up OpenTunes and I just have all of my tools that I need for the workflow that I'm setting out to accomplish and everything. And even if I get the bare bones minimum of what I need for that workflow all snapped to the screen and everything, it's still more than I can handle. I don't have ready access 100% of the time to the canvas. Now, inside of a program where it's all oriented around graphics and such like that, or animation or drawing or something like that, you need to have access to your canvas or your viewer, whatever you want to call it, 100% of the time. And so my second bounty is going to make it so that your X sheet, your level strip, your styles, your style editor, your schematic, your function editor, etc., all of it, all of your windows, everything that you can access from the Windows menu, you'll be able to minimize those windows, snapped or unsnapped. You'll be able to minimize them into an icon on the screen, on the OpenToonz user interface. Okay? And when you need that tool, only when you need that tool, like, I don't need to have my styles all the time. I don't need to have my level strip there all the time. But it's a pain in the butt to go window and then look through this long list of, like, drop-down list. Okay, where is level strip? Where is the level strip? Oh, there it is. Click. You know, that takes a lot of time. I mean, it takes just as much time as just moving the window out of the way. So, you know, it's not a remedy, if that makes sense. Just closing down the window and looking at it through the Windows menu. So that is what I'm planning on doing. Being able to minimize the windows into an icon. And when you need to have the level strip or something, you go ahead and click on that icon, and then it maximizes it and snaps it to its last known location. If it wasn't snapped, then it'll just maximize to the last known location. So that is what I'm going to be working on for the next little while. I'm going to create an animation to function as a demonstration of how I want collapsible windows to function inside of OpenToonz. Now, that having been said, SnapEye and I, on one of the Discord chats that we participate in, we were talking about cutout animations, and in my opinion, SnapEye is the foremost authority on cutout animations using OpenToonz. He's the guy that is the most vocal about cutout animation while using OpenToonz. He's the guy that's tackling it, whereas I really haven't. I've kind of messed around with it and everything like that. Basically, what we were talking about is how the skeleton tool is really effective at general distortions of your drawing. And the mesh really helps you be able to distort it and everything. But once you need to have some fidelity to your distortion, the skeleton tool falls flat on its face. So, like, if you want a character that moves his arm and points their finger towards the screen, you need to have foreshortening for, you know, the deltoid, the bicep, the forearm and everything, and the hand and the finger. And like, if you want to keep at least some of the cutout without necessarily having to create new assets for each and every single frame, you're going to need to have something called the, I believe inside of Toon Boom it's called the envelope distortion. Envelope distortion. Anyways, so it basically what it'll do is it will make it so that you'll be able to put the equivalent of control points and handles on various parts of your mesh. And you'll be able to have a lot more control over what is getting distorted on your image. You'll still use the skeleton tool, but what's really going to be helpful eventually is this envelope distortion. And so I've decided, once my collapsible windows bounty is going to be up, running, and then fully funded, the next bounty after that, my third bounty, will be the envelope distortion. Okay? So, if any of this sounds interesting to you, feel free to leave a comment. I am interested in everything you guys have to say. Genuinely, like, this whole topic fascinates me. I mean, I have a whole plan of different things that I'd like to do. JP Turcotte, he actually asked me when he initially donated to the Crit-alike Assistant tool. He asked me, well, would you be willing to donate to some of these other bounties that I'm kind of emotionally invested in? And I said, yeah, sure, why not? And I looked at a lot of them, and I do see them as things that I want to help. and promote and everything. But for right now, the only thing that I can do at the moment is just, spread the word, community outreach. Here's an Open Tunes News video, everyone. If you want this, donate. That's the sort of thing. But once I'm done with my third bounty, I'm thinking I'm going to start supporting other people's bounties and such like that, helping finance them and etc. And yeah, anyways guys, that pretty much concludes it for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you guys would like to take a look at any of my other videos, they're on the screen right now. And yeah, have a great one.